Part 6. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 51. Chapter 51 Positive and Negative 5 Elements Formation. Put your head over here. Although he had doubts, Su Junming still followed his words. A flash of light flashed on the fingertips of his four eyes, one point on his forehead. In an instant, countless talismans and characters were introduced into his sea of consciousness. A quick glance revealed that it was the cultivation of the demon-slaying sword talisman, ghost-slaying talisman, divine foot talisman, Tianmu talisman, pagoda talisman, and puppet talisman that he had been curious about for a long time. Maintain the law. Back then, I was just like you, young and energetic, and very curious about the 7 true teachings and the 36 talismans. I thought I could learn many talismans at the same time, so I took the Demon Slayer sword talisman that your master had learned. The cultivation methods of the ghost fighting talisman and the sacred foot talisman are here. It's a pity that after many years, except for the Tianmu talisman which has made good progress and the demon slaying sword talisman that has been slightly understood, the other tools have not been able to get in. It is really unnecessary. Su Junming was silent for a moment, waiting for his eyes to calm down a little. Master, you and your uncle should have 6 true talismans, but why are the water-repelling talisman and the flying crane talisman passed down to me? These are the 3 talismans passed down by your master. In addition to the water-resisting talisman and the flying crane talisman, there is also the Huishan talisman. I asked for it together. But the Huishan talisman, you have already learned the talisman, but it has not been passed on to you. Su Jun nodded clearly. Junming, these talismans are passed down to you, not for you to practice them all, but for you to choose 2 or 3 to practice that you are interested in. Remember, don't be greedy. Yes, please keep this in mind, disciple. Master, since you are at an advanced level in the practice of the Tian'ai talisman and the Demon Slayer sword talisman, can you tell your disciples about these 2 talismans? Even if there is a bronze mirror, standing on the shoulders of those who came before us is 100 times better than working behind closed doors. If Master Four Eyes Taoist Master's sermons were given, it would save him a lot of time in the practice of the Tianmu talisman and demon slaying sword talisman. After being guided by Uncle Ju, Taoist Master Four Eyes would never refuse his disciples' reasonable request. One of them spoke seriously and the other listened carefully. The 7 days passed quickly. During this period of time, Su Junming not only took out the Master's 4-eye demon-killing sword talisman and Tianmu magic talisman practice experience, but also asked about the divine fighting skills. After seeing that Simu's sermon had begun to repeat the preface, Su Junming wisely stopped. Master, I feel that I have benefited a lot and need time to sort it out. Why don't you come here first and ask the Master for advice after a while? Four Eyes nodded quickly, wishing to stop quickly. His old skills have already been wiped out by his disciples, and if he continues to talk about putting new wine in old bottles, his old face will become a bit unbearable. After all, it is somewhat embarrassing for a master to be inferior to his apprentice. That's fine, you take a rest first. I'll go tell you, Master Yangxian, and we'll leave when we get back. Yes. He hurried out of the Muwuju and let out a long sigh of relief. Oh, it's so tiring to teach this little monster. What should I do in the future? He shook his head, looked in the right direction, and walked towards Yangxian's residence. Sitting cross-legged in the Muwuju living room, looking in the direction his eyes were leaving, Su Junming smiled secretly and looked inwards at his dantian. The demon-slaying talisman, which is over 1 foot long and has been trapped in the white talisman stage, finally broke through to the blue fundamental talisman stage after incorporating the true meaning of the demon-slaying sword talisman. Proud of Simu's profound understanding of the Tianmu talisman, he also entered this talisman and formed the seeds of the talisman in his dantian. The divine fighting talisman also broke through the 5-foot limit and entered the 3rd stage. You can borrow more divine power, increase your strength by a small level, and last longer. As for the other talismans given by Taoist priest Four Eyes, he did not intend to delve too much into them. After all, what he has learned now is enough for him to practice for a long time. Moreover, if you win the position of Chang's senior brother in the future, you can freely enter and leave the Sutra Pavilion. With those previous cultivation experiences to refer to, and with the assistance of bronze mirrors, most of the 36 true talismans can be accomplished in one go, so there is no need to waste time now. Taoist priest Simu returned after half an hour. The two finally lit incense sticks for their ancestor, then closed the Muwuju and came to the riverside. "Master, how do we get out?" "Just follow me." Seeing that he was lying, Su Junming didn't ask any more questions. He followed Simu step by step along the river bank and came to the rock crevice. It was too far away before, so I couldn't see carefully. When I walked in, I realized that the stone gap was unusually wide, extending no less than 100 meters. The top is not too high, only about 30 or 40 meters. The light inside was dim, and only the gurgling river water could be seen, but the sound of the water hitting the cave wall could not be heard. When Su Junming looked at the stone gap, his eyes were already leading the way to a small bluestone pier close to the river bank. There are two awning boats tied to the stone pillars next to the pier. After Simu jumped up, he waved to Su Junming. Boom! Jumping into the boat, Su Junming, who was tall and strong, made the awning boat tremble, causing countless water waves to ripple. Seeing this scene, he really doubted that this ordinary Wupeng boat could really take him out of the sex station. However, Su Junming, who had doubts in his heart, did not speak when he saw that his eyes were full of confidence and that he was watching a good show. "Stand still." After shouting, he raised his eyes and palmed his hands. The magic power spurted out, and the black-topped boats flew into the stone gaps like arrows. As soon as he came in, Su Junming saw the river flowing upward at 90 degrees not far away. Before he could prepare, Simu had already controlled the awning boat and crashed into it. The violent collision that he imagined did not happen. Su Junming only felt a tyrannical force pinching him, and the wind roared in his ears. In just one breath, everything around him calmed down. A large lake covering 100 hectares of light and sparkling under the bright sun appeared in front of us. "How?" Four Eyes smiled. "Amazing skills." Su Junming still didn't react. Our sect's 5 elements formation is innately created and has the ability to reverse the inside and outside. It is the top formation in the practice world. What you experienced just now is just the tip of the iceberg. After that, with a casual shot, the boat shot straight towards the lake shore like a sharp arrow. There is also a small pier here. Next to the pier is an octagonal pavilion, and next to the pavilion is a mountain road that winds outward. On the right side of the mountain road, opposite the pavilion, there is a simple wooden house hidden in the bamboo forest. The boat was docked at the pier, and the master and apprentice stepped ashore. The small boat that had just carried them ashore suddenly disappeared like a phantom. If you return to the sect in the future, you only need to activate the 9 Lao Immortal Capital Divine Fire Seal in your dantian to summon the awning boat. Once it reaches the center of the lake, it will be pinched into the inner gate by the 5 elements formation. If you have an outsider with you, you must first go to the wooden building next to it, inform the disciples on duty of your sect, and only then can you enter after receiving the jade talisman for entry. After nodding his head in understanding, then should we inform you now? Su Junming pointed to the wooden building next to him. No need. The uncle who is responsible for guarding the mountain gate doesn't like outsiders to disturb him. We can just bow outside. Bowing with 4 eyes, he saluted the wooden building. After Su Junming followed suit, the master and apprentice followed the mountain road and came out from the back of Luofu Mountain. Because Su Junming wanted to go down the mountain for training, the two separated after having a meal in the town. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 52. Chapter 52, Luohun Mountain. Luohun Mountain is a large mountain near Beifeng Town, Xinyuan County. Because of the rugged rocks, poisonous snakes and insects in the mountain, and the frequent rumors of ghosts harming people, it was nicknamed Luohun by nearby villagers. Even in broad daylight when the sun is shining, there are few people around. One afternoon, on the rugged mountain road of Luohun Mountain, a young Taoist priest with a height of 7 feet, a majestic figure, a complexion like bronze, an ancient face, and deep and resolute eyes came. The Taoist priest wears a large green robe, with a mahogany sword on his back. On his left waist is an old yellow-brown pocket with a rusty Tai Chi Bagua diagram on it. On his right waist is a small beige bag as big as a sea bowl and a brass bell. Wearing dorman shoes on her feet, she holds a 2-meter-long bamboo stick in her hand, as thick as a wine cup, and as green as a green. The Taoist priest walks like the wind, and the rugged mountain road is like walking on smooth ground. The ringtone is crisp and disappears with the wind. Since Su Junming separated from his master, he has been traveling all the way and arrived at Luohun Mountain one day later. After bypassing the mountain ridge ahead, no more than 100 meters away, a cliff appeared in front of us. Turn over your left palm, and the direction pointed by the compass pointer in your palm is the direction of the cliff. Su Junming's magic power activated the bronze mirror, and the mirror image appeared in his eyes. Under the magical power, the original cliff disappeared instantly and was replaced by a cave 2 meters wide and 2 meters high. There is a ghost head with a green face and fangs embossed on the top of the cave, but the carver's technique is rough and it doesn't look scary. The ghost's head held a milky white, slightly cyan talisman in his mouth. A white spiritual light overflowed from the talisman, covering the 3 meters around the entrance of the cave. Su Junming closed his eyes and walked over. After he walked within 3 meters of the cave entrance, the illusion of the cliff disappeared instantly, and the 2-meter-wide cave entrance appeared in front of him. Stepping into the cave, 2 ferocious evil spirits with green faces and fangs, and a broken belly, raised their swords to chop at him. Su Junming ignored him and continued to move forward. Like a streak of blue smoke, his body passed directly through the bodies of the 2 evil spirits. The 2 evil spirits continued to chase the cave entrance for 5 meters with their knives and then disappeared. The cave is wide and flat, with smooth rock walls on both sides, obviously artificially trimmed. After walking about 20 meters along the cave, we reached the bottom of the cave. Su Junming temporarily put the bamboo stick aside, changed the finger formulas in his hands, and a spiritual light shined directly on the rock wall. There was a soft click sound, and a gap suddenly opened in the rock wall at the bottom of the cave that originally seemed to fit perfectly with the surrounding rocks. Su Junming pressed his hands against the rock wall at the bottom of the cave, using his magic power silently, and exhaled loudly. Wow! As he pushed hard, the gap became wider and wider, gradually revealing the passage behind it. A strong yin energy instantly overflowed. Crossing the stone gate at the bottom of the cave and walking 5 meters forward, a huge stone cave that is 100 meters long, 40 to 50 meters wide, and 8 or 9 meters high appears in front of you. There are no less than 200 or 300 sarcophagi in the cave. Moreover, more than half of them are affixed with yellow charms, and the coffin lid is covered with a yellow list, which states the place of origin and birth date of the corpse in the coffin. Finally reached. This hidden cave is the Yizhuang built by Taoist master Simu himself. Usually he would temporarily store the corpses whose homes were far away and could not be sent back in time. At the same time, this is also a transfer station for the 4-eyed Taoist priest to drive away the corpses. In order to prevent the mountain people from breaking in rashly, Simu placed a shadow talisman in the ghost head at the entrance of the cave and a phantom ghost talisman inside the cave. As for the last stone gate, there is a forbidden method unique to mission. Unless you know the hand technique, the innate monks will not be able to open it no matter how hard you try. After looking at the yellow list on the coffin lid, Su Junming picked out the corpses from some northern towns such as Biwu, Xing'an, and Zhehan. Next, he planned to go all the way north to visit Mega Shanfang City. This is a city built by the Sanshan Fuzuan sects, the Laguandeafang city built by the Danding sects, the Wutai Mountain city built by the Buddhist sects, and the Wutai Mountain city built by overseas scattered cultivators. Pengleifang city is also known as the four major cities in the spiritual world. These four cities provide a place for communication among many monks in the spiritual world. Su Junming has been extremely curious since his master Simu mentioned it to him. This time, in addition to driving away corpses, he also happened to go to see the scenery of Mega Shanfang city, which was nearest to him. Remembering the contents of the yellow form, he removed the corpse-suppressing talisman on the sarcophagus. After pushing open the coffin lid, Su Junming silently used his magic power. From the talisman bag on his waist, the corpse-raising talisman he had drawn long ago flew out like a fish, came into the air, and under the guidance of his spiritual consciousness, he fell into the open sarcophagi like scattered birds. Su Junming raised his sword and shouted, "Rise!" Snapped. 73 corpses, dressed in dark grey linen clothes with their heads and faces covered, all jumped out of the sarcophagus. The corpse-raising talisman was made by Su Junming's novice, and it contained his magic power and a bit of spiritual consciousness, so the corpse attached to this talisman was also controlled by him. He took off the soul-catching bell from his waist and shook it, and the corpses jumped and automatically stood in a row. With a wave of his left hand, the white corpse-binding rope flew out of his sleeve, like a coiled snake, flying over the waists of all the corpses, connecting them together. 73 corpses weighed more than 1,000 kilograms. If it weren't for the corpse-binding magic weapon, it would have been very difficult to carry so many corpses on the road, even if Su Junming was already innate. Take out 3 long incense sticks from the deerskin bag and light them with the fire talisman. Hold it in your hand, place it close to your forehead and bow 3 times in all directions. The ancestors of Mission Nanzang, the immortals of Lushan, and the ghosts and gods from all over the world are here again. Today, my disciple Su Junming officially left the disciples and exorcised the corpse to become a Taoist. I hope that the ancestors, sects, gods, and ghosts will bless my disciple's success and safety. In the coming days, my disciples will offer sacrifices of 3 animals, 6 kinds of animals, 10 fragrant melons and fruits, and sincerely offer sacrifices. After the last bow, Su Junming put the incense into a stone stove on the left side of the cave door. After silently reciting the mysterious transformation mantra, burning 3 knives of yellow paper, he stood up. After paying homage to all directions as the master's 4 eyes said, he grabbed the rope that bound the body and took the body out of the cave. Su Junming closed the cave door, used magic power to warm the ghost talisman and the outermost shadow talisman, then walked to the group of corpses, holding the corpse-binding rope in his left hand and the green bamboo staff in his right hand. The sound of the soul-catching bell on his waist was clear and crisp. He stepped forward and shouted loudly, "Dear guests, we are on our way." The lingering sound was high-pitched, echoing in the mountains along with the ringing. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 53. Chapter 53, The Strange Tenhua Village. Dad, if we leave like this, what will happen to the land at home? A woman wearing old floral clothes, carrying a sleeping baby on her back, said with a sad look on her face. What time has it been? You still care about the land? If you don't leave, your life will be gone. Next to him was a middle-aged man in a short shirt, carrying a big baggage and a broken hatchet in his hand, with a sad look on his brows. Occasionally, when I look back at the countryside thousands of meters away behind me, shrouded in the early morning sunshine, My eyes show reluctance and nostalgia, but they soon become decisive again. Two laymen are invited. May I ask if the front is Tanhua village? Ouch, oh my god. Seeing Su Junming's sudden appearance, after being frightened for days, the already nervous woman screamed, rolled her eyes, weakened her legs, and fell backwards. The bamboo shadow flashed, and a bamboo stick as green as jade passed through the woman's armpit like lightning and supported her falling body. Are you a human or a ghost? The man was bolder after all. Although he was frightened and backed away repeatedly, he did not faint in the end. Su Junming smiled slightly and nodded. This layman, the sky is bright now and the true fire of the sun covers the earth. The evil spirits dare not come out at this time. The man agreed when he heard it. Looking at Su Junming's rosy face, his bright eyes, and the shadow behind his back, he was obviously not a ghost. Thinking of this, I felt a lot more at ease. Then you are the Taoist exorcist from mission sent two lay people back home for burial. The corpse hunter. Exactly. After Su Junming nodded, he raised his finger and flicked a ray of magic power into the woman's acupuncture point. After a moment, a sound was heard, and the woman who fainted from fright opened her eyes. Seeing that she was carrying a child on her back, Su Junming was afraid of another accident, so he used his hand as a pen to draw a pure heart talisman. Taoist true talismans naturally have infinite magical uses. The couple who bathed in the heart purification talisman, and the child behind them who had just woken up, all the negative emotions such as fear, shock, and panic disappeared, and their expressions became calm. Both laymen, do you feel better? Thank you, Taoist priest. The man didn't know much, so he awkwardly saluted Su Junming. After a faint smile. Can you answer Pandeo now? This is Tanhua village in Changliu town. Exactly. Are there two families, Zhu Yifu and Zhu Erlang, in this village? Zhu Yifu is my third uncle. He lives at the east end of the village. As for Zhu Erlang, the man's face showed a thoughtful look. The woman shook his arm, a little nervously on her face. Master, have you forgotten that the tofu seller Zhu Shidu, isn't his father named Zhu Erlang? Yes, I remembered it. When my father was still alive, he told me that Zhu Shidu's father and he were uncles and brothers. They were the second eldest children in the family, and their name was Erlang. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Junming saw a hint of fear on his face. Even with the mind-purifying talisman he had drawn before, the two of them still looked worried. Obviously, something has probably happened to Zhu Erlang's family. He wanted to ask clearly, but judging from their expressions, he decided not to ask. Thank you both. He stretched out his hand, and under the thick poplar tree in the distance, two shadows covered with gray linen clothes were tied to a white rope and slowly flew over. The man looked at the two lifeless figures and knew they were corpses. Grasping the rope that bound the body, Su Junming took a step forward and was 70 meters away in an instant. Tao, Chang. The man looked at the figure that was quickly retreating with a shocked face, and forgot to say the words in his mouth. Let's go back. After calming down, the man gritted his teeth and turned around. Go back. My boss, you are confused. We finally escaped. What do women know? Although the Taoist leader just now is young, he seems to be a capable person. He can probably solve the problems in our village. The woman also recalled the Taoist's miraculous ability to make 100 steps in an instant. After all, it was still hard to leave my homeland. After struggling for a moment, I nodded. July and August are the seasons when all things grow and prosper in the south. However, when Su Junming came to the village, he found that the leaves of the rice in the village were yellow, not growing vigorously, and looked sickly. He didn't know much about farming and thought it was just a matter of poor planting, so he didn't pay much attention. However, when entering the village, it was obvious that the yin qi here was stronger than outside. looking at the village under the gauze trees. It's been a smooth trip all the way. Is there going to be a problem on this last trip? Shaking his head, Su Junming walked along the road into the village. Compared with the villages and towns he passed before, this Tanhua village was not that small, but the atmosphere in this village was strangely cold. Although it was broad daylight, he had not seen anyone else except the couple he saw before. This is not common in rural areas where people need to work in the fields every day. When we arrived at the entrance of the village, there was a stone tablet half a man tall standing next to it. The stone tablet has serious signs of wear and tear, and it has obviously been left here for a long time. The top of the stele is embossed with a golden lion, with exquisite pictures and text, obviously made by an expert. The lotus petals on the base are also of extraordinary skill. In the middle of the stone tablet, there are 3 characters of Tanhua village in regular script. Although the color has faded, the temperament of the bones and muscles has not diminished at all. Su Junming took a brief look and was about to step into the village. From the corner of the alley in the distance, a short and thin old man wearing an old short coat with lots of patches came out, carrying a hoe. Seeing Su Junming in Taoist attire and 2 corpses in grey linen clothes behind him, the old man's goatee curled up and a look of surprise appeared on his face. The Taoist priest is a corpse exorcist. The old man asked tentatively. He is older and has seen a lot, and the corpse exorcist has seen him once or twice. Exactly. Does the old layman know where Zhu Yifu and Zhu Erlang are? I know. The Taoist priest walked along this road and passed 4 intersections. The first house on the right side of the road with the stone at the door is Zhu Yifu's house. As for Zhu Erlang, there was a hint of fear from the heart on the old man's face. Taoist master, you should go find it yourself. After saying that, before Su Junming could speak, the old man shouldered the hoe, turned around and ran away, disappearing in the alley in the blink of an eye. Looking at the place where he disappeared, Su Junming didn't catch up. Thinking about the scruples of the couple before, and then looking at the fear of the old man, Zhu Erlang's family is probably the reason why Tanhua village is so lifeless. According to what the old man said, Su Junming stepped forward. This road, paved with stones of different sizes and about 5 meters wide, is obviously the main road in the village. There are winding alleys connecting it on both sides. There are more and less households in each alley, but basically more than 8. Calculating this, there are at least 200 to 300 households in this village. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 54. Chapter 54, No one is rich without windfall. After passing 4 intersections, Su Junming saw on the right side of the road a yard made of blue-gray stones of varying sizes and thatched with a thatch roof. There are 2 old wooden doors at the entrance of the yard, with polished square stones on both sides. The corners are shiny with paste, green and black in color, and there is no trace of dust. It is obvious that people often sit on them. There are piles of firewood outside the courtyard wall on the east side of the courtyard gate, and 2 locust trees are flourishing and leafy. The whole thing looks no different from an ordinary small courtyard in the mountains. After a brief glance, Su Junming pointed his sword at the forehead of the corpse at the front and transmitted his voice with his spiritual consciousness. Zufu, is this your home? A joyful voice sounded from somewhere. Reporting to the Taoist priest, this is the ancestral home of the villain. That's good. Su Junming retracted his fingers, stepped forward and knocked on the door. Unexpectedly, no one answered for a long time. Just when Su Junming was impatient and planned to open the door directly and go in, the sound of footsteps approaching from far away began. After a short time, as the wooden bars on the top of the door were retracted and the wooden wedges inserted into the door were pulled out, a crack was revealed in the closed courtyard door. A middle-aged man with high cheekbones looked carefully at Su Junming through the door gap as wide as an adult's hand. Seeing him dressed in Taoist attire, he breathed a sigh of relief. Who are you looking for? Su Junming slapped his head. I've invited you, layman. Is this Zhu Yifu's home? The middle-aged man looked at him again and then said, Zhu Yifu is my father, what do you want to do with him? The next step is the corpse exorcist from mission. Today I specially sent the body of your fourth brother Zhu Fu back home for burial. Before he could finish speaking, the middle-aged man's expression changed drastically. My fourth brother has died a long time ago, let's go. Bang. The door closed instantly. Su Junming's face changed slightly. He had sent 71 corpses back home for burial along the way. Anyone whose family members were still there would be grateful to him. I never expected that it would be my last turn, but I was rejected. Don't be impatient. With a scolding, Zhu Fu's soul, which was bound in the corpse by his corpse rope, instantly calmed down. I think that although your brother is not a loyal person, he is not a mean person either. If you refuse to accept it now, there must be a reason. I will find an opportunity to help you find out. Thank you, Taoist master. Thank you, Taoist master. Zhu Fu's soul thanked him endlessly. Zhu Shidu. The soul in the last corpse responded quickly. You can show me the way. Let me go to your house first. Yes, follow this road all the way to the end, then turn left. Under the guidance of Zhu Shidu, we walked to the back of the village. Looking at the house in front of him, which was also made of stones and soil, Su Junming frowned. Is this your home? Exactly. It was obvious that no one had lived in this lifeless mansion for a long time. The courtyard door was ajar. Su Junming raised his hand and pushed it open and walked in. The relatively spacious courtyard was piled with shovels, pickaxes and other debris, and there were grain stores, bullock carts and the like in the corners. There were dead branches and leaves on the ground. It was obvious that no one had cleaned them for a long time. When you stepped on them, the leaves that had been drained of moisture by the sun made a crackling sound. Across the courtyard, the door was closed tightly, and yellow paper with damaged corners on both sides clung to the wooden door. Su Junming knew that this was a rural area, and there would inevitably be things after a death in the family. Compared to the ajar door, the door to the room was actually tied with a chain. He transferred the mana, activated the Demon Slayer sword talisman, and raised his finger at the same time, and the iron chain broke with a sound. A flick of the right hand. With a hoarse friction sound, the door opened. A gloomy wind blew out instantly. While Su Junming frowned, he also saw the black word Dian on a white background hanging high in the middle of the hall. The spiritual tent made of white linen next to it swayed in the wind, and even in broad daylight, it looked a little breathtaking. The tables, chairs, and benches in the main room are arranged neatly, but the strange thing is that they are all wiped clean, as if someone cleans them frequently, which is completely different from the decaying atmosphere of dead branches and leaves in the yard. Su Junming glanced at it and grasped it with his right hand. After a moment, a trace of blue-gray mist condensed in his palm. It's corpse energy again, but it's not too strong. There was a flash of fire in the palm of his hand. After refining the corpse energy, Su Junming stood with his hands behind his hands, looking at the village shrouded in the morning Sunday. It should have been full of life when chickens and dogs were sniffing each other, but now it was peaceful, even with these dead energy. I walked through more than a dozen villages along the way, but I didn't expect to encounter something strange in the end. Well, if it's within my ability, I can get rid of it easily, which can be regarded as accumulating merit. Although Su Junming is proud that he can achieve the golden elixir or even the nascent soul state in the future. But everything is possible, and although golden fingers are good, they cannot save lives. If he is born with hiccups and has many merits, he can also turn to the ghost path. Otherwise, if you re-enter the 6 realms of reincarnation, you may not be a human being in your next life. More importantly, crises are also opportunities. If he hadn't killed the vixen with all his strength last time, there would be no ropes to bind the body now. If there were no ropes to bind the body, we would not be able to get any clues about the lightning-struck wood on the top of the church, the silver cross equivalent to a medium-grade magic weapon, and a bronze-armored corpse. Therefore, if you want to accumulate a substantial net worth in a short period of time, the key is to dare to fight hard. As the old saying goes, a man cannot be rich without windfall, and a horse cannot be fat without night grass. The body-tying rope was swung and the remaining 2 corpses were placed aside. Su Junming sat down cross-legged in the middle of the hall. He reached into his arms and took out a palm-sized blue and white porcelain vase. Unlock the seal on it, pull out the plug, and roll out a beige pill the size of a peanut. He raised his hand and swallowed the pill into his stomach, and a wave of heat quickly spread from his stomach. Carrying Zhou Tian to refine this medicinal power, a faint white fluorescence rushed straight from his yintang to the heavenly spirit. After about half an hour, all the strange phenomena calmed down, and Su Junming also opened his eyes. He glanced at the porcelain bottle in his hand, feeling the growing mana in his danshan, and frowned slightly. I have refined 92 of the 100 Huanja pills, but the area of the danshan is only 2 acres and 6 points, and the improvement is getting slower and slower. It seems that after taking this Huanja pill, I am still far away from the middle stage of Xiantian. There's some distance. Even so, his cultivation speed is fast enough. Without the elixir, it would have taken him 5 years to reach his current state. After silently reciting the calming mantra and calming down, Su Junming took out a transparent bead the size of a child's fist. A white flame the size of a little finger was burning quietly inside. Holding both hands in the palm of the hand, the consciousness communicates with the light blue fire talisman in the danshan. Visible to the naked eye, countless light red flame streams gather from all directions, fly into the transparent beads, and are absorbed by the white flames inside. The more fire spiritual power is absorbed, the larger the white flame becomes and the richer the blue color of the flame heart becomes. Proud of Su Junming's profound understanding of the way of fire, the progress of the purple spirit white fire is quite good. In just a short time of looking for the moon, there are faint signs of entering the middle level of Dongzhen. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 55. Chapter 55 Corpse Demon. After cultivating the flame for an hour, Su Junming opened his eyes. After playing with the crystal ball for a while, I reluctantly put it into a deerskin bag. When Qian Dinglin, the leader of the law enforcement hall, the fire Taoist, gave him the fire, he had made preparations in advance and used forbidden laws to seal the fire inside. Otherwise, Su Junming did not have a magic weapon to hold fire, and he would not be able to carry the purple spirit white fire in his hand. Similar to the method of putting flames into the danshan in many fairy novels, he didn't know if he could do it in the future, but he definitely couldn't do it now. The high temperature of several hundred degrees would burn him to ashes in just a few minutes. It would be great if there was a cauldron. Su Junming thought to himself. Of course, now he is just thinking about it. If you want to make a cauldron, you must at least use spiritual copper or spiritual soil, and the materials used are huge. At first, Qian Dinglin only gave him fire and not the cauldron, probably because it was too precious. After finishing this order, go to Megashanfang market to see if you can buy some spiritual copper. He shook his head, calmed down the distracting thoughts in his mind, and began his daily practice. The room quickly returned to silence, and time passed slowly. After the sun has passed through the hottest heat at noon, it has also begun the process of setting in the west. Tired birds return to their nests, smoke from cooking fires sets in at dusk, and the quiet Tanhua village is gradually engulfed by darkness. The night was bright with few stars and the clean moonlight covered the earth with a layer of silver-white gauze. At first glance, it is very beautiful. Suddenly, a layer of bluish-gray mist surged from a dense forest on the hillside to the north of Tanhua village. The mist was a bit misty at first, but then became thicker and weirder. Densely packed figures emerged from the mist, but no voices were heard. Not long after, the green mist actually came towards Tanhu, a village down the mountain. And the black shadows among them also walked down. As the fog disperses, it naturally becomes thinner. Those shadows are no longer vague, but become real. Under the cold moonlight, you can clearly see that these people have pale faces, stiff bodies, and no trace of life in them. Moreover, wearing old and new shrouds, there was no movement at all when he stepped. After entering the village, these people seemed to be very familiar with everything here, and they automatically separated and went home. Woof woof. The dogs in the village barked in unison, but soon fell silent together. Su Junming, who had long since awakened from practice, felt the changes around him and was secretly surprised. What a heavy yin energy! If the yin energy at night was one, it would be at least hundreds now. If the yin energy is heavy, there must be demons. Squeak. The courtyard door that was originally ajar was suddenly pushed open. A thin blue-gray mist surged in along with a gust of wind. The dead branches and leaves on the ground rustled, giving off a strange feeling. Immediately afterwards, an old man wearing a grey shroud, a goatee, and a pale face walked in with his instep straightened and his toes on the ground in a somewhat weird posture. Behind him were two middle-aged men and women with pale faces, each wearing a shroud. After the three people entered the door, they walked directly towards the door. Everyone was stunned when they saw the open door, and even more so when they saw Su Junming sitting cross-legged in the middle of the hall. The middle-aged man following behind reacted and asked, "Who are you and why are you in my house?" The voice was hoarse, and although it was filled with anger, it seemed to be ground out of two steel plates, giving people goosebumps all over their bodies. Zhu Erlang, Zhu Dashi. After all, the old man in front was well informed and cautious. Especially when this person was dressed in Taoist attire and looked calm after seeing them, he was obviously not an ordinary person. Why does the Taoist priest know the names of our father and son? Su Junming waved, and the corpse rope flew into his palm. With a wave of his hand, two corpses flew out from the corner. With a move of his right hand, the grey linen covering the head of the male corpse in front of him, and the corpse-raising talisman attached to it, instantly fell off, revealing the corpse with sunken cheeks, a thin face, and closed eyes. Your son Zhu Shitu was beaten to death by a local wealthy man for stealing in Qinglan County, Qizhou Prefecture. The wealthy man hated him for repeated thefts and caused a lot of losses to his family, so he was too cruel and beat him to death. Because he was not a local, there was no one to redress his injustice, and the rich man gave away money, so the local government hastily closed the case. Because he died violently, the underworld refused to accept him, and his soul had no basis. He was later taken away by the local charity, and now I have sent him back to his hometown for burial. After Su Junming finished speaking, the old man Zhu Erlang showed an angry look on his face, and his ghostly aura suddenly became strong. That rich man beat my son to death, it's really hateful. Dad, now our family has become a ghost cultivator, and we are practicing with the second aunt grandma. We will become immortal gods in the future, and then we will kill the rich family and avenge the stone. The middle-aged man behind said. After Zhu Erlang heard this, he did not nod immediately, but looked at Su Junming warily. Thank you, Taoist priest, for taking the trouble to send my son home. It's just that my farm family is not rich. I only have one tael of silver as reward, and I hope the Taoist priest will accept it. A piece of broken silver, when the old man waved his hand, was like a meteor and lightning, hitting Su Junming's door directly. When broken silver arrived a foot in front of Su Junming, it seemed as if it encountered a tough invisible barrier, making it impossible to advance any further. This scene made the old man's expression change drastically, and the vigilance and caution in his eyes became even stronger. With a move of his left hand, the broken silver fell into his palm, and Su Junming casually put it into the deerskin bag. the Taoist exorcists, always charge more money from the rich, and only give out a meal of yellow rice to the poor. But now that you and your family have become ghosts, the money in the world is no longer of any use to you, so I will accept it all." After that, with a wave of his hand, the rope that bound the body was instantly extended. The lock flexibly peeled off the 3 green bricks next to the Kong head, and rolled out a green and grey earthenware jar from the inside. The earthen jar fell into Su Junming's hands, and he opened the linen cloth covering it. Inside, there were 30 to 40 taels of silver, a pair of jade bracelets, and most of the jar's copper coins appeared in his eyes. "I don't see that your family has quite a lot of assets." "Dad, our family's money." The middle-aged woman who had been silent until now became anxious and ran towards Su Junming. She stretched out her hands and stabbed Su Junming's eyes with her sharp green-gray nails. "Come back quickly." Zhu Erlang's expression changed and he shouted quickly. Su Junming's expression was calm, and he waved his right hand forward with a sword point. The rope that bound the corpse was like a white stream of light, quickly wrapping around the middle-aged woman's waist. In an instant, the woman's body stiffened, her soul became still, and there was no movement. This scene made the Zhu family's father and son change their colors at the same time. "Run!" After Zhu Dashi heard this, he turned around and ran away. Unfortunately, before he could even take 2 steps, he was blocked by the corpse rope. "It's just a few corpse demons. If you let you run away, wouldn't my bundle of corpses be used as a magic weapon in vain?" Even though the body-tying rope couldn't catch up with Xiang Bohuang in Jiquan town, it was hard to escape its grasp due to his innate nature. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 56. Chapter 56 Second Aunt Grandma. The zombies are monsters that are produced when corpses are buried in places with strong yin energy. Although they are not as rare as zombies, they are not many. There must be a reason why dozens of monsters appear in Tanhua village at once. And I just heard them. What do you mean by second aunt grandma? Are you talking about an old man? Su Junming touched his chin, thought briefly, and then stood up. Looking at the earthen jar in his hand, he patted it casually, and all the copper coins and silver inside flew out. A pair of jade bracelets were put into the deerskin bag, and the earthen jar was thrown aside. He took out the crystal ball that sealed the purple spirit white fire and used the techniques taught by Jian Dinglin when he presented the treasure to draw a line of fire. The scorching heat instantly evaporated the moisture in the air. The white flame surrounded the copper coins and silver, quickly refining the impurities in them. Within 2 or 3 seconds, the flame retracted the crystal ball and put it into the deerskin bag. Fu took out a jade box the size of an adult's palm. After removing the sealing talisman on the jade box and opening it, there are 5 small spaces lined up inside. There are a few grains in each, and the colors are golden, navy blue, light silver, dark black, and ice blue. The gold is the least, the light silver is the second, the ice blue is the third, the navy blue is the third, and the black is the most. Initiate the purple spirit white fire, refine all the copper coins into a navy blue particle, refine the silver into a silver particle, and put them into the box. Along the way, he drove the corpses and harvested gold, silver, copper, iron, tin, and metals. All the gold, silver, copper, iron, tin, and metals were harvested by him, and they were all converted into particles like this in preparation for refining magic weapons in the future. However, these particles are only rough embryos and are still far from becoming spiritual materials. After fastening the lid of the box and affixing the talisman to seal the spirit, he put it back into the deerskin bag. After doing this, Su Junming grabbed the rope and strode out of Zhu Erlang's house. When we came to the street, under the hazy moonlight, there was a strong gloom. On summer nights, there should be endless chirping of insects. But now there was silence, as if dead. Occasionally there was a scream, but it quickly disappeared. This is a ready-made merit. After muttering to himself, he activated the magic formula in his hand, and the corpse-tying rope flew like a snake to the courtyard wall. After a while, an old lady wearing a shroud came out. Su Junming didn't look at it, and continued to move forward while holding onto the rope. These ordinary corpse monsters and ghosts can be dealt with a few yellow talismans. Naturally, he can easily capture them by tying them up and stringing them with magic weapons. In a short time, more than 20 were arrested. Arriving outside a house with a brick and tile structure that was obviously several times better than the other houses around it, the rope flew up and a naked woman was quickly caught. There was a hint of seductiveness in her stiff expression. "Madam." Just as Su Junming was about to leave, he heard an anxious roar from the house. This was the first time in such a long time that he saw someone intercepting the corpse demon after he captured it. Soon, a burly black man with a bare upper body, a tangled black hair on his chest, and a fleshy face jumped over the wall. When he saw the naked woman caught by the rope, his face immediately showed anger, and he pointed the long knife at Su Junming. "You bitch, if you are sensible, let my wife go, or else I will let you taste the power of my dragon-slaying knife, grandpa." Su Junming wasn't angry either. He smiled and pointed. "Lady? Are you talking about her?" As the thoughts moved, the idea of tying the corpse rope flashed, and the naked woman was restrained. Her white and greasy skin was instantly covered with corpse spots and turned black. Fat maggots came out of the rotten flesh and stirred it up. Mixed with yellow corpse water, it meanders endlessly. The white bones of the head, chest, and 2 thighs were also exposed. This disgusting scene only made the big black man's face turn from white to green, and then from green to white again. After doing this again and again, he spat out "Wow." The way the mountains and rivers were pouring out was probably enough to make everyone laugh. Seeing that he was almost vomiting, Su Junming added another sentence with a calm expression. "It feels pretty good to sleep with a corpse these days, right? Look at the maggots, they are so fat and big. If 2 of them get into your mouth, they must taste very delicious. Wow wow wow." Before he could finish speaking, the sound of the big black man vomiting intensified instantly. That look and sound made him feel like his heart was vomiting out. Su Junming pouted. Looking at his majestic appearance, I thought he was a tough guy, but after a few random teases, he turned into this bear-like person. You have corpse energy in your bones. If you don't want to die early, come to Zhu Erlang's house to find me early tomorrow morning. When the big black man heard this, his face became anxious. Just as he was about to speak, he happened to see the beautiful concubine he loved more than her life passing by. Her disgusting look made his stomach churn, and he vomited it up again. What happened next went much smoother. He captured more than 60 zombies and ghosts in the village. Returning to Zhu Erlang's house, the 3 rooms in the main room were immediately packed to the brim. Su Junming didn't want to be crowded with these rotten people, so he simply came to the yard and saw a large stone mill in the corner. After sweeping away the dirt with his hand, he sat cross-legged on it. Then he reached into his storage bag and took out a shiny golden mat, unfolding it to reveal 4 jade talismans that shimmered inside. The 4 elephants' evil-slaying formation that he had practiced on the Dayang straw mat had now been refined with 2 magic taboos, and its power had increased even more. Uncle Ju also gave 4 pieces of pure yang talismans together. The array diagram combined with the 4 magic talismans was now the most powerful magic weapon in his hand. Faced with the unknown second ant, Su Junming did not dare to be careless. He tossed it casually, and the formation diagram was filled with golden light, floating in the air about a foot above his head. Su Junming muttered words, the magic formula in his fingers changed, and the golden light of the array flashed and then disappeared. He grabbed 4 more magic talismans, and with a push of magic power, 4 golden lights flew to the 4 directions of southeast, northwest, and disappeared. The 2 restricted 4 elephants evil killing formation can cover a 6-foot space. Anyone who dares to enter the formation will be captured instantly. After making a secret to hide the formation, he took out the 4 talismans of Hun Bin, Demon Slayer, Pure Yang, and Xianying Ghost Slayer from his pocket, and listed them in front of him in order for easy access. Except for the purple spirit white fire which is still in the deerskin bag, all of Su Junming's magic weapons and talismans are here. He transferred the pure mana to his dantian, warmed it for a while, and then began to meditate with his eyes closed. An hour passed, the moon was in the sky, and the night became darker and darker. Suddenly he opened his eyes, and with a burst of magic power, the Demon Slayer sword talisman on his knees shot out, turning into a 3-foot-long sword, shooting straight to the northeast. Choke. The sound of gold and iron clashing sounded. A black steel fork suddenly appeared and blocked the demon-slaying sword talisman. Su Junming snorted coldly, and the Xuanyang ghost-slaying sword talisman flew out, turning into a black tassel as thick as an arm and 1 foot long, spiraling up like a dragon and snake, and the dense sword energy cut through the air, chi-chi-chi sound. The demon-slaying sword circled and struck again. The power of the 2 swords, one strong and one soft, was doubled with Su Junming's multi-purpose coordination. The steel fork waved 2 rays of black light, and after briefly blocking the attack of the 2 swords, a ray of yellow light flew down from the treetops in the distance, and then disappeared instantly. It's decisive. Recalling the 2 sword talismans, Su Junming hesitated but did not catch up. His corpse tying ropes were still holding down more than 60 corpse demons and ghosts. If he caught up with them and fell into the enemy's plan of diverting the tigers away from the mountain, all the previous efforts would be in vain. He didn't want to repeat the mistakes that Master Simu had made back then. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 57. Chapter 57, The Elixir with 500 Tails of Silver. It's a pity that I didn't see the true face of that thing clearly. The extension of his spiritual consciousness is only 10 feet, and the Tianmu talisman can see very far, but it is not like a bronze mirror that can break illusions and preserve reality. Although I felt a pity secretly in my heart, it was not without gain. At least I knew that the other party's strength did not exceed my own by much. Later, until daylight broke out, nothing strange appeared again. Su Junming, who had been meditating to transfer mana and practicing Taoism by the way, moved his ears, and the sound of footsteps coming from far and near came into his ears. His consciousness swept away, and a faint smile appeared on his lips. The fat sheep is coming. Zhu Fengzhe held onto the corner of the wall and stuck his head out, looking anxiously at the small courtyard with a tattered fence in the distance in his eyes. He lives in a village, so he naturally knows the address of Zhu Erlang's home. And he also saw the young Taoists sitting cross-legged on the stone millstone in the courtyard. When he saw each other, the lifeless team at night emerged from the bottom of his heart, and the rotting and smelly appearance of his beloved concubine also appeared in his mind. Wu. Zhu Fengzhe felt nauseous again, but he had vomited all the bile long ago, and now his stomach was empty and there was nothing left to vomit. But more than the physical discomfort, what he was more afraid of was what the Taoists said, that he was not going to die soon. He has a huge fortune, but he doesn't want to die young. Master, what are we? Following him, 2 powerful servants asked hesitantly. Take your things and follow me, master. After gritting his teeth and making up his mind, he straightened his clothes and walked towards the yard in front. The servants did not dare to neglect and quickly followed. The courtyard door was open, but considering the Taoist's ability, Zhu Fengzhe did not dare to go in. He stood outside the door respectfully and said loudly. Taoist Master Wan Fujinan, Zhu Fengzhe from Tanhua village came to ask for an audience. The 2 servants looked at the young Taoist in the courtyard with surprised expressions. They knew best what kind of temper they had. When I visit the newly appointed county magistrate on weekdays, I have never seen him so respectful. Su Junming raised his eyes and said calmly, "Come in." "Thank you, Taoist master." Zhu Fengzhu hurriedly walked in, took small steps to stand 2 meters in front of Su Junming, and then bowed to the bottom. Zhu Fengzhu of Tanhua village paid a visit to the Taoist priest. "I thank the Taoist priest for saving my life last night. It's a simple gift, but I hope the Taoist priest will accept it." With a wave of their hands, the two servants stepped forward quickly and placed the gift boxes in their hands on the stone mill. Su Junming's consciousness swept away. The box on the left contains 50 silver dollars, and the box on the right actually contains the finest Danzhou cinnabar. There are many sources of cinnabar in the world, but Danzhou cinnabar is indeed the best. As long as it is refined with magic power, it is the best raw material for drawing yellow talismans. Of course, the price is not cheap. One tael costs 20 taels of silver. Especially in recent years, output has been decreasing and prices have been rising. There are 5 taels of cinnabar in this box, and judging from the color, it has accumulated over the years and is full of spirituality, which is really good. While feeling satisfied, Su Junming also had a faint smile on his face. Seeing him like this, Zhu Fengzhu breathed a sigh of relief. The gift is right. The Taoist master said last night that my corpse spirit is in my bones and I will die soon. Do you doubt what Pandeo said? No, 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 how dare I doubt the Taoist priest? It's just that I haven't felt anything strange about my body in the past few days, so I'm a little confused. Forget it. I am a moral person, and I cannot deceive you. Just lift up the clothes on your back and let your two servants see. Zhu Fengzhu didn't dare to neglect, and quickly untied his clothes and lifted them up. Show it to me, sir. The two servants didn't dare to neglect. After a quick look, their expressions changed immediately, and the taller servant said in shock, "Master, there is a black thing on your spine." Zhu Feng's expression changed drastically. "You idiot, why don't you get it for me, master?" "Master, this thing is growing in your flesh and you can't get it out," the servant said aggrievedly. "Damn it, can't you think of a way? Why do you feed me? Okay, don't waste your efforts. Corpse chi is invisible and has no quality. It would be weird if you waited for a few ordinary people to be able to take it out," Su Junming said. Zhu Fengzhu was also smart. He knelt down with a bang and cried, "Taoist priest, I am the only male member of the third generation of the Zhu family. I hope that the Taoist priest will be merciful and save my life. No more doubts." Snapped. He instantly gave himself a mouthful. "I was blinded by lard just now. I hope the Taoist priest won't be offended. That's all. I, the Taoist, am merciful. For the sake of your sincerity, I will save your life." Zhu Feng was overjoyed, wiped away a few drops of crocodile tears that he had squeezed out before, and knelt down again and again. "Thank you, Taoist master. Thank you, Taoist master." Su Junming reached out and took out a small blue and white bottle from the deerskin bag. "I refined this Ding Yang pill using 360 kinds of precious herbs. It has the effect of bringing the dead back to life. One pill will not only relieve the corpse energy in your body, but also prolong your life. There are many benefits." Seeing the growing desire in Zhu Fengzhu's eyes, Su Junming's painting style changed. "But the elixir is precious and cost me a lot of hard work. It should not be given lightly." Zhu Feng heard the elegant music and knew its elegant meaning. "Taoist master, I am willing to buy it with a lot of money." This guy is pretty good, Su Junming was satisfied. "Looking at your sincerity, I don't want much. 500 taels of silver, you can take this elixir." 500 taels of silver. Zhu Fengzhu had a look of pain on his face. "What, you don't want to? Forget it if you don't want to, I won't force you. No, 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 I'm willing, I'm willing. It's just that I have more money. I hope the Taoist master can grant me a few days of grace. I only give you 1 day. If you don't come after 1 day, this elixir will be gone. Just wish yourself well. When he passed by Zhu Feng's house, his consciousness found no less than 1,000 taels of silver in this person's yard. This is just floating wealth. If you include land deeds, real estate, etc., it will only be more. For asking him for 500 taels of silver, Su Junming was considered to have a conscience. Seeing the elixir he longed for put back into the yellow bag, Zhu Fengji did not dare to act rashly even though he was very powerful and had practiced martial arts for many years. Gritting his teeth, after all, wealth is more important than life. Don't worry, Taoist master, I'll go home and get the money now. Go. After waving his hand, Su Junming closed his eyes and gave the order to expel the guests. Zhu Fengji stood up, bowed and saluted, and quickly left the hospital with his 2 servants. Looking at his leaving figure, Su Junming smiled faintly. Along the way, he did the same thing 6 or 7 times. If you encounter those from fish and meat towns, you will receive more. If you come across something fairly good, ask for less. The obtained silver, gold, copper, iron, hardware, and the like were all refined into rough embryos. And there is no psychological burden on him to do such a thing. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 58. Chapter 58 Second Uncle. An hour passed, but Zhu Fengji did not appear. Su Junming was not surprised. After all, it was hard to give up good money, and he would not bow down unless he suffered some losses. Seeing the 3 poles in the sun, Su Junming put away the 4 talismans on his knees, withdrew the 4 elephants' evil-killing formation and stood up. Su Junming said loudly while looking at Tanhua village, which was somewhat silent under the clear and bright sunshine in the morning. I have captured the zombies and ghosts last night. If there are any of your relatives among them, come to Zhu Erlang's house to see me. I will save the undead for you and no longer let them harass Tanhua village. Su Junming doesn't know the art of sound transmission, let alone the tiger roaring talisman, but using magic power to activate the sound can envelope the entire Tanhua village. After shouting twice in a row, which was enough for everyone to hear, he stopped. Although there were times when Zhu Feng was searched in front of him, he was not polite. But as a disciple of mission, it is also my duty to conquer demons and accumulate merit. Of course, the premise is that the demon's cultivation level cannot exceed his own. Being a hero also depends on your strength. After waiting for a while, snoopers began to appear around Zhu Erlang's house. The sun was shining brightly, there were more and more people, and I became more courageous unconsciously. They gradually surrounded the yard of Zhu Erlang's house, but when they saw Su Junming, who was tall, carrying a mahogany sword on his back, and with an elegant temperament, they did not dare to come in. Second uncle is here. I don't know who shouted. The crowd got out of the way, and a hale and hearty old man wearing blue linen clothes with white beard and hair, leaning on a cane, walked in from the passage where the crowd got out of the way. Su Junming jumped off the stone mill, took 2 steps forward, and raised 1 palm. Old layman is polite. The Taoist priest is polite. The old man quickly bowed and returned the gift. May I ask where the immortal lives and why he came to my flower village? Su Junming always respected elders and answered immediately. Pandeo is a corpse exorcist under Nanmission Gate. He sent the corpses of Zhu Fu and Zhu Shita back to their hometown for burial. I didn't expect to encounter corpse monsters and ghosts last night, so I captured them. I originally wanted to get rid of them, but seeing that these ghosts were all he is a native of this village, and although he has become a ghost, he rarely hurts anyone. In addition, the Taoist, are compassionate, so I temporarily detained them in the hall of Zhu Erlang's house at the back. After dawn, everyone is invited to come to the scene to discuss a solution. Either kill or release, it is better for Taoists to let them go. Taoist master, don't kill him. The old man said quickly. These ghosts are the deceased villagers of this village. Although they have become ghosts, they have not harmed their lives. I hope that the Taoist master will be merciful and use magic to save their dead souls and enter reincarnation as soon as possible. After saying that, the old man knelt down. Su Junming quickly helped him. Old layman, please rise. It is my Taoist responsibility to protect the environment and the people, and to maintain the stability of the countryside. It is natural to save the souls of the dead. I just have a few questions. I hope the old layman can shed some light on them. Excuse me, Taoist master. After Su Junming nodded, I think these ghosts include both newly deceased souls and early dead ghosts. They must have accumulated over the years, so the ghost trouble in this village has been going on for many years. No. This village is the place where our ancestors gave birth to Tan Hulang during the Qingming festival. The stone tablet at the door was a gift from the previous emperor. Over the years, the people have been simple and honest, and the people have lived and worked in peace and contentment. There has never been any trouble caused by evil spirits. But a month ago, it rained heavily and a flash flood broke out, washing away the Qingshui River in the south of the village. Fortunately, the village was built on a high ground, and no lives were lost. Although a lot of farmland was washed away, the village still had food left over and was hungry. Not. When the flood receded, the old man discussed with the village chief to take the opportunity to renovate the river channel to avoid another disaster in the coming year. Who knew that just when we were digging the river embankment and preparing for repairs, we actually dug out a blue man as big as a man from the ground. Sexy big jade turtle. Blue jade turtle. Exactly. The jade turtle seal has many pictures that we can't understand. The jade is pure and contains haze. The village chief said it is the finest Lanshan jade. This jade turtle is a rare treasure given to us by God in Tanhua village, so let's let him. Zhu Dashi and others found shovels, pole heads and other items and planned to move the big jade turtle back to the village, but who knew? There was a look of regret on the old man's face. How? Su Junming was curious and asked. Unexpectedly, as soon as the big jade turtle was moved, a puff of black smoke suddenly burst out of the Qingshui River, and then a cloud of clouds rushed over from the north like a galloping horse. The clear sky soon turned into overcast clouds. Everyone thought that it had collided with the Dragon Prince. They all ran away. As a result, the next day, the village chief's family, Zhu Dashi's family, and everyone who moved the jade turtle died that night. There was deep fear in the old man's eyes. Su Junming activated the pure heart talisman, and the light cyan aura sank into the sea of consciousness of the old man. All the anxiety and panic on the latter's face immediately dissipated. There was a hint of confusion on his face, and before he could figure out the changes in himself, Su Junming started urging him. Not daring to be negligent, the old man continued quickly. The village organized people to bury all the 19 members of the 4 dead families in the ancestral graves. The next 3 days were uneventful, and no one died again. But just when everyone was breathing a sigh of relief, those who died, including those in the village, all the people who died violently in the early years are actually alive. The old man spoke very smoothly, and the mind-purifying talisman calmed his fear. These people who died early returned home at 3 p.m., and left at 4:15 a.m., when the rooster crows, every day. Although they have not harmed anyone, they are still ghosts of the dead. 7 days have passed since they appeared. There are 467 people who have come to our Tanhua village in the past 7 days. They have been in panic all day long. I hope the Taoist master will be merciful and subdue these ghosts and make our Tanhua village clean. After that, he bowed down again. Old layman, no courtesy. Since the incident in Tanhua village has been discovered by Pandeo, there is no reason to stand by and watch. Thank you, Taoist priest. Don't thank me for now. I have conquered all the evil corpses and ghosts in Tanhua village. I will do the ritual tonight to send them to reincarnation in the underworld and be reincarnated. I just need some things to do the ritual. I hope the old layman and everyone in your village can help. I intend to. Whatever the Taoist master needs, just ask. I want a 4-corner table, an incense burner, 36 incense sticks, 4 candlesticks, 4 red candles, a bucket of unpeeled sorghum rice, 5 feet of jute cloth on one side, 3 feet of jute cloth on all sides, and thick wrists. 4 bamboo poles, a copper basin filled with clean water, and 3 knives of yellow paper. Have you written it down? Don't worry, Taoist master, I have a pretty good brain, and I've memorized everything. That's good. Everything should be prepared before evening and delivered here. Yes. Where is the big jade turtle you dug up now? Still on the river beach. Find 2 people to take me there. This is the root of trouble. We need to subdue it as soon as possible. That's what the Taoist priest said. The old man turned his head, Afu, Leng. A pothead with a sly look in his eyes, a tall, dull-looking man in his early 20s, wearing an old sweatshirt, ran over. Second uncle. You two take the Taoist priest to the river beach to see the jade turtle. Second uncle, can you change someone else? That thing is too weird. Whoever sticks to you will die. I haven't married a wife yet, Jarhead Afu said. The old man smashed his cane and said angrily, I didn't let you touch that damn thing. You just need to take the Taoist priest there. Besides, the Taoist priest is very powerful, so what are you afraid of? Afu looked at the young Taoist priest, who was not much older than him, with obvious suspicion in his eyes. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 59. Chapter 59 4 Elephants Formation. Su Junming has already practiced the talisman seeds of the Tianmu talisman in his Danshan. Although his level is not as high as that of the 4-eye Taoist master, he can still achieve 1 eye and 10 miles. As long as the big jade turtle is really on the river beach, it won't be difficult to find it. Old layman, please give me what you need. I'll come as soon as I go. After that, he silently used his magic power, and under the magical power of the Huishan talisman, his body disappeared instantly. Oh my god! Afu yelled and stepped back. Orlan was much better than him, but he was so frightened that his face turned pale and he took 2 steps back. The villagers of Tanhua village, who had been nervous for the past few days, even shouted ghost, turned around and ran away, and the crowd instantly became chaotic. When second uncle received Su Junming's mind-purifying talisman, he didn't feel much fear. What are you shouting about? Don't you think it's embarrassing? In the clear sky and white sun, where did this ghost come from? This is the Taoist priest's magical power. Although the old man's beard and hair are all white, when he gets angry, his voice is as loud as a bell and his momentum is astonishing. Coupled with the usual prestige, the panicked crowd gradually calmed down. Come here, everyone, Zhu Fengtian, doesn't your family sell cloth? Bring all the jute cloth you have at home. Second uncle, it's easy to say, but this money. A fat man hesitated. If you feel it's a loss, it's okay if you don't take it, then just let your father go back and live there every night. The fat man's face turned pale when he thought of his father who had been dead for 2 years and came back to life. In the past 7 days, he had not had a good night's sleep and was in constant fear. He never wanted to live like this again. Second uncle, I'm going to get it right now, I'm going to get it right now. Hurry up. Why? Zhu Fengxian, Didn't your family grow sorghum rice last year? Go get 1 bucket, no, 2 buckets, in case the length is not enough. A man wearing a green waistcoat nodded, turned around and ran away. The old man assigned tasks one by one, and in a blink of an eye, everything Su Junming wanted was available. Tanhua village is about 500 or 600 meters away from the Qingshui River below. Standing on the crown of a huge tree that could hold 2 people in their arms, Su Junming's eyebrows revealed a bright white vertical eye. In an instant, everything within a radius of 10 miles can be seen. The Qingshui River, about 50 meters wide, gurgling along the valley, and the dug ditch became clearly visible. After activating his magic power, the whole person disappeared in an instant, and when he reappeared, he was already 70 meters away. After a few flashes, we arrived at the stone bridge across the river. After bypassing the stone bridge, turning right and walking only 50 meters, a large area of dead grass came into view. The withered grass clings to the river bank and spreads radially to the north, forming a strip of withered grass that is 8 to 9 meters at its narrowest point and nearly 100 meters wide at its widest point. It is in sharp contrast to the vibrant scene of red flowers and green willows in other areas of the valley. Su Junming bent down and picked up a piece of withered grass, and a cold and biting feeling suddenly hit his heart. What a heavy yin energy! Mana protected his feet and stepped into the withered grass belt. Walking forward no more than 3 meters, a large dug hole came into view. The pit is 8 or 9 meters in diameter. Inside is a basalt jade statue with a dragon head, a turtle body, and a snake tail, squatting steadily on the ground. It's just that it's not the blue that my second uncle said, but a deep black. The villagers didn't know Suanwu. Seeing that it looked similar to a turtle, they recognized it as a big jade turtle. This Suanwu is indeed very large, about 3 meters from beginning to end. Although the base is not visible, the height is about 1 meter. Although it has been dug out by villagers for many days, there is no dust on the surface of Suanwu. Under the sun, traces of cloud-like things flashed from Suanwu's body, and it did look a bit like the sun is warming up in the blue field and the jade is producing smoke. There are many talismans and seals painted on Suanwu's body. Su Junming is also a true disciple of Mission. He can recognize some of them, but he still doesn't understand the meaning of the whole. A pair of mirror images flashed across his eyes, and the Suanwu jade statue instantly became transparent, and the gleaming restrictions within appeared before his eyes. In addition, 14 threads extend from the Suanwu body, leading to due east and due south respectively. This is the 4-image formation. Su Junming has mastered the 4 elephants evil killing formation and is very familiar with the 4 elephants formation, so he recognized it immediately. It's just that the cultivation of the person who set up this formation, especially the cultivation of the 4 symbols formation, obviously surpassed him. It hooks up to the sky, covers the earth below, and pulls the spiritual energy of mountains and rivers. It's such a brilliant cultivation of the formation. He has only just begun to use the trends of mountains and rivers, the direction of rivers, and the position of the stars to set up formations. Su Junming looked longingly at the center of the river. For him who has mastered the 4 symbols formation, this formation is simply a priceless treasure. If he can see the formation map and then understand it, he will definitely gain a lot in the 4 symbols formation path. My decision to participate in the Tanhua village incident was really the right one. I have gained a lot so quickly. Su Junming was secretly excited. Call. A gust of cold wind blew by, and even though he was a cultivator, he couldn't help but feel a hint of coldness when he was in the thick yin qi. The heat in my heart has dissipated a lot. Looking at the dead river, he frowned slightly. This 4-image array is obviously suppressing something, and the yin qi is so strong that it far exceeds that of the Jiquan town church. Most of the things down there are not comparable to that Western-style bones. It's really not that easy to get the treasure. After examining the Suanwu statues around him, Su Junming activated his magic skills and crossed the river bank to the south. After finding the correct position, he raised his foot and stamped his foot. The powerful magic power instantly overturned the soil. After doing this several times, a large pit with a diameter of 5 meters and a depth of 2 meters appeared in front of him. A fiery red bird with a wingspan of 4 meters, ready to fly, emerged from the pit. The strange thing is that the Suzaku is half black and half red. The black half is cold and biting, and the red side is hot to the touch. Moreover, black is still eroding red. The suppression of the Suanwyu position has completely lost its effect, and the Suzaku position is about to expire. If the Qinglong position and the White Tiger position are also completely eroded by the Yin Qi, this formation will be broken. When the time comes, the demon will be born, and Tanhua village will not die. Absolutely. This is also due to cause and effect. If they had not rashly moved the Suanwyu position, except for the flaws in the four symbols formation, they would not have caused the current situation. Su Junming returned to the Suanwyu position, casually set up the four-elephant evil extermination array to protect himself, activated the bronze mirror, and cooperated with his spiritual consciousness to understand the set of four-elephant evil array. Because he already had the foundation, he made rapid progress and understood 1/3 of it in an instant. But as you get to the back and come into contact with those profound formation restrictions, your speed will inevitably slow down. Taoist, Taoist. The shouts from the distance made Su Junming wake up from his meditation. 30 or 40 meters away, Afu and Leng were waving and shouting at him. Afraid of the coldness of the Yin Qi and the strangeness of the Suanwyu jade statue, they did not dare to come over. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 60. Chapter 60, The Dharma Altar of Transcendence. Noticing Su Junming turning around to look, the two of them looked happy and hurriedly said in unison. Daozang Su, my second uncle said that all the things you asked for have been purchased and asked you to go back and take a look. I know, you go back, I'll be back in a minute. The two nodded, eager to leave this hellish place as soon as possible. After hearing what he said, he turned around and left. Su Junming withdrew his gaze and looked at the Suanwyu jade statue in front of him. After thinking for a moment, he fluttered his hands and suddenly had an idea. Countless handprints formed by mana flew into the Suanwyu jade statue. Visible to the naked eye, a trace of icy blue emerges from the darkness. Countless water vapor condensed from the river next to it. The icy blue color is getting thicker and thicker, gradually occupying nearly half of the body of the Suanwyu statue. Buzz. With an invisible tremor, the basalt jade statue shot out a ray of icy blue light, the Suzaku jade statue on the other side of the river shot out a red light, the east side of the river shot out a green light, and the west side shot out a white light near the river bank. 4 rays of light intertwined together, and a huge French net emerged within a radius of 30 feet. The yin energy inside the French open is strong and the chill is deep to the bones. In a moment, the alien phase disappeared. The yin qi leaking from the Suanwyu position was weakened by half. Su Junming used his understanding of the four symbols formation to renovate the formation. However, in the end, his formation cultivation is not as good as the person who set up the formation. He can only restore half of the power of the Suanwyu position and slow down the erosion of yin qi, but cannot truly restore the formation to its old appearance. If I can truly comprehend the 4 elephants formation, my 4 elephants evil exorcism array will hopefully be able to be refined into a top-grade magic weapon. Su Junming's heart was filled with excitement. This was a rare opportunity. He frowned and looked up towards the north hillside. Under the setting sun, a dense forest of pines and cypresses came into view. After concentrating for a moment, he withdrew his gaze, turned around the stone bridge, and rushed towards Tanhua village. Back at Zhu Erlang's house, his second uncle was waiting here with a dozen strong villagers. Taoist master, you are back. Please wait. Taoist priest, you're welcome. I wonder if Taoist priest can see the clues on the other side of the river. I don't have a clue yet, but if I observe it for a few more days, I believe I will gain something. The second uncle nodded. I also hope that the Taoist priest can take pity on this village and eliminate the disaster. By then, I will build a temple in Tanhua village to commemorate the Taoist priest and offer incense. Old layman, this is serious. I, a Taoist, live in the world and believe in nature, chance, and destiny. There is no need to build monuments or temples. After saying that, Su Junming stepped into the hospital. On the newly moved table next to him, there were the incense candles, paper money and other items he wanted. He selected the best long table and had it moved to the middle of the yard, spread with 5 feet of jute cloth, and placed incense candles, yellow paper, and a set of pens, inks, papers, and inkstones. Then he spread 8 sides of jute cloth on the ground. Su Junming took a large writing brush, ground out cinnabar, and wrote the 8 characters Kinkan Sunzan, Kan Legendui. After hanging it on the flagpole, he placed it according to the Bagua directions. After a series of lightning-fast moves, he frowned and shouted loudly. Innate Bagua array, wake up. The innate Bagua array that has been comprehended in the Danshan is radiant, the 8 array flags are shining brightly, and an invisible barrier surrounds Zhu Erlang's family. Su Junming is best at the 4 symbols to kill evil array, but tonight is the first time that he has set up the altar of transcendence, and he has transformed 67 ghosts into hell in one go. To be cautious, he decided to set up the innate Bagua array together. Good. After setting up the innate Bagua array and placing the altar, I looked at the time. It was not yet time to open the altar, so I went to the main room next to me and put on the new Taoist robe I had brought. Tonight I am going to save a group of ghosts. It is not suitable for too many people to be present. You should go back first. We will obey what the Taoist master said. But as a tactic, it would be better to leave 1 or 2 people behind to handle some trivial matters for the Taoist master. The second uncle said it fair. After Su Junming listened, he thought for a moment and nodded. Those of you who were born in the year of tiger, snake, and monkey stay, and the rest of you can go. I'm a tiger. The tall, strong man named Erlang stood up. I am a snake. Afu, who was with him, rolled his eyes and stood up. Su Junming looked at his expression and said calmly, today is the Yunwei day. The 3 stars of tiger, snake, and monkey are in charge. They are blessed with the power of Mars from the south and are not afraid of yin energy. The other zodiac animals are left behind and are protected by Pandeo. Although there is no it's a big deal, but it's inevitable that evil will invade the body, and a serious illness may shorten your life by a few years, so you can't lie, otherwise you'll be responsible for the consequences. Seeing the seriousness of what he said, Afu showed a look of fear on his face. Xiao Sun is fooling around, please forgive me, Taoist priest. After bowing his hands in a salute, the second uncle turned around and scolded. It's embarrassing, why don't you come back with me? Afu frowned and followed his second uncle out of the formation channel that Su Junming released. The rest of the people left one after another, leaving only the tall and strong man named Orlan. Just do what you want and don't bother me if you have nothing to do. Orlan nodded and sat down on the chair next to him with a dull expression. Su Junming sat cross-legged on the futon behind the altar, meditating quietly with his eyes closed, understanding the unknown aspects of the previous 4-image formation. Time passed little by little, and night slowly enveloped Tanhua village. Because the loopholes in the Suanhui position of the 4 elephants formation by the Qingshui River were repaired by Su Junming, the leakage of yin qi was greatly reduced. On the northern slope, where the ancestral graves of Tanhua village are located, the yin qi also dropped sharply. In addition, he caught all the corpse monsters and ghosts that were causing trouble. Tonight, Tanhua village finally regained its former purity and no longer looked lifeless. Just after Haishi, Su Junming slowly opened his eyes. Count with your fingers. Time is running out. Seeing him getting up, Len, who had been sitting next to him, also quickly got up from the ground. He stretched out his hand and a white stream of light shot out from the main room, followed by a large number of corpses and ghosts. As soon as these dirty things came out, the Bagua array instantly became filled with gloom and mist, and the atmosphere became depressing. For now, put these things on one side of the altar. Su Junming took out the 4 elephants evil killing formation diagram, threw it together with 4 jade talismans, and then laid out a layer of formation. After placing the 4 talismans such as Pure Yang and Demon, grab the peachwood sword. Stand with your feet on the steel pole and silently recite the 8 great mantras, including the mantra for purifying the heart, the mantra for purifying the mouth, and the mantra for purifying the heaven and earth. As his tone became more and more urgent, the spiritual energy condensed in the formation gradually became thicker. Eat a meal with your feet and drink from your mouth. Certainly. The spiritual light flashed 3 times on the altar, and all the dirty, dark, murderous, and other filthy auras around it melted away, leaving only the purest spiritual energy, a layer of faint white aura, from the candlesticks, tablecloths, and formation flags. Wait for the matter to come up. With the blessing of the 8 divine spells, the spirituality of these magical instruments has increased by more than 50%. Su Junming breathed a sigh of relief, moved Zhou Tian, and recovered his mana. Pick up the magic pen, dip it in cinnabar, and start writing quickly. It didn't take long for a memorial form to be written. I put my name on it. After checking it and seeing that there were no mistakes, I drew 12 more flying crane talismans. After doing this, he lit 3 long incense sticks and inserted them into the incense burner with a respectful look.